Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here coming to you, let's try that again. Kia ora, Helen Brahms coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to the Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1508, planning an 80s tribute weekend. Oh, I was inspired by this morning. Actually, I've been pretty good staying off social media. I did do a bit of watching TikTok today, and I came across this TikTok, and if you want to see it, it's on my Facebook page. But the TikTok was a tribute to the 80s, and I'm going through and listening to all this great music, seeing clips from music videos, from TV shows, from movies, and I thought, that would be a good theme to do. Top one, not top 100. Sorry. We had a very relaxing day today. We're working on a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. Yes, after all my hard work the last few weeks, I decided, I'm just going to take a relaxing day. And I had an audiobook playing, and I was doing a jigsaw puzzle, and it was awesome. But anyway, back to the topic. So I saw this, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to do an 80s weekend where I listen to 80s music, and I watch 80s movies from the 80s. And then I suddenly realized, I thought, oh crap, some of those movies are 40 years old or almost 40 years old because they were done in the 80s. And here we are 40 years later. And I'm like, jeeps, that was my childhood. Those movies came out during my childhood. Like E.T. came out in 1982. It is the very first movie I went and saw by myself. Like I took myself on the bus into New Plymouth because we're living in Whiteshire at the time. And so I took the bus from our town that we're living in to the closest city. Then I had to walk a bit to get from where the bus stop ended to where the movie theater was. I saw E.T. I saw it by myself. I cried. I got on the bus and I walked back to the bus station, got on the bus and took the bus back home again. And then it dropped me off in downtown and then I'd walk all the way back up home. I remember seeing that movie. And then it wasn't until the movie Overcomer came out in I think it was 2019 that came out. That was the next movie I went and saw by myself. So from 1982 to 2019, between those 2 years, I had never seen a movie by myself. Between E.T. coming out and Overcomer coming out, those were the only two movies that I'd seen by myself. Up until that time, whenever I went to the movies, I always went with friends, husband, boyfriends, girlfriends, just the whole gamut of us would go. Family time. Do we do family? No, I don't think we ever went as a family to the movies. No, we did a couple of school trips to go see the movies. We went and saw The Hobbit Part 1 in cartoon form. Remember that? But yeah. So, there was times that groups of us would go together. It was always groups of us going together to the movies and stuff, or just Brad and I going. And so, yeah, that was a long time. But, E.T. came out in 1982, and I thought, well, that would be a good movie to go see again. And so then I was thinking, okay, what are the top 100 movies from the 1980s? And so I pulled up the list. I'm going to run down some of them really quick. I'm just going to pick out the ones that I actually know. Number 1 was Raging Bull. I have not seen that one. Number 2 was E.T., which came out Raging Bull came out in 1980. E.T. came out in 1982. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark came out in 81. I did not realize that movie is, what are we now, 42 years old. Wow. And they just brought out the 5th. So the 5th Indiana Jones just came out. Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of my favorite ones, but my most favorite one is Last Crusader with Sean Connery in it, of course. Amadeus is number 4. It came out in 84. Platoon came out in 86 and was number 5. Number 6 was Cinema Paradiso, came out in 1988. Once Upon a Time in America came out in 1984, was number 7. Number 8 is Blade Runner in 1982. That was actually not a bad movie. It was a future movie, and it was not bad. Ran, never heard of that one, but it came out in 1985, number 9. Number 10 was Do the Right Thing. And so those are the top 10 that came out in the 1980s. That one came out in 1989. It just made it under the things. But I was looking through some of these other ones. You've got Star Wars Episode 5's Empire Strikes Back. And I think that came out in 1980. And I think it was 82 when Return of the Jedi came out, I think. I think that was it. So I'm looking through some of these, there's some horror movies in here, like The Shining. Yeah. Airplane came out in 1980. I love that movie. I haven't seen that one in a while. I might put that one on. Tootsie is another favorite. Untouchable. Oh my gosh, Untouchables. It's the first time I ever saw Kevin Costner in a movie. Was when I saw him in Untouchables. It came out in 1987. Terminator. Let's see. Die Hard came out in 1988. Some of the other ones that I saw. Raising Arizona. That was a very different. I didn't really get into that movie. But then that was back in 1987. So I might go back and watch that one again. Princess, oh my gosh, The Princess Bride. That came out in 87 as well. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Oh my gosh, that was funny. That's a really cool movie. That was a classic. The Christmas Story came out in 83. Oh, Poltergeist. I've never seen Poltergeist. I'm not like, oh, this is Spinal. That I have to tell you is so funny. That is a funny movie. Yeah. That's just yeah. If you've seen Spinal Tap, you'll know what I'm talking about. What else did I see on this list? Back to the Future came out in 85, Rain Man in 88. Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 88. When Harry Met Sally in 89. I mean, there's just some really good movies in here. I've got a lot. Oh, The Right Stuff. That was a great movie and came out in 83. Let's see. Color Purple. I never actually saw that one. That came out in 85. Might have to go back and I might put that one on the list too. The Little Mermaid came out in 89. I did not realize The Little Mermaid came out in the 80s. For some reason, I keep thinking that was later. But I saw that on the TikTok video today. I saw Little Mermaid. I didn't think that came out, but it says it right here. It came out in 89. And that's the Disney's animated version. Let's see what else. Chariots of Fire. Oh my gosh, that was an awesome, awesome movie. I've seen that one a couple of times. That came out in 81. Let's see. Glory. Oh, that was a good movie. That was a good movie. Came out in 89. Let's see. What else was on there? Didn't see that one. And never heard of that one. I'm just going through the ones that I know, okay? If you want to see the full list, just go into IMDb and type in top 100 movies from the 1980s, or Google top 100 movies from the 80s. Let's see. Fish Called Wanda. Oh my gosh, that movie just cracks me up. Fish Called Wanda in 88. John Cleese, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Kline, Michael Palin. Just great actors in that movie. Witness, that was a really cool movie in 85. So yeah, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi came out in 83. Oh, that's 83, not 82. Okay. I see broadcast news. I don't recall if I did see broadcast news or not, and that came out in 87. Bull Durham was good. That came out in 88. Field of Dreams. Oh my gosh, Field of Dreams. That came out in 89. Love that movie. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. But yeah, that was a great movie. Hoosiers. Came out in 86. Ghostbusters. The original Ghostbusters came out in 84 with Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis. Yeah, The Breakfast Club, 85. That was another good one. Big in 88. Caddyshack in 1980. Arthur in 81. Let's see. Just trying to see what else is on this list. Moonstruck. That was a cool movie, that one. That came out in 87. I'm going through some. Oh, Dangerous Liaisons. Yeah, that was a good movie. That was like set in like in the 1800s, 1700s or something. And just the way that this group of women of society would manipulate people's lives. Oh, can't forget Ferris Bueller's Day Off. My gosh, that was that was such a cool movie. Such a classic. Let's see what else is on here that I've seen. Lost in America. Have I seen that one? Sounds familiar. I don't know if I've seen it. I might have to put that on the list to see. On Stand By Me. Yeah. So that was just really cool. Going through that TikTok video and recognizing some of them I recognized, some of them I didn't. Like some of the TV shows, I was trying to think of some of the TV shows, and I just sort of like gave up at that point. I was sort of like, yeah, I'm not going to try and guess some of these. But just some of the movies and the music that they were playing at the time. And I thought, that would be really cool to do like an 80s weekend. And then I thought, then now I'm looking at all this top 100. I'm going, yeah, oh, I haven't seen that one for a while. I haven't seen that one. Haven't seen that one. Oh, I want to see that. I heard about that one, but I never saw it. Would like to see it. And I'm like thinking, yeah, that's going to take more than a weekend. We probably have to make this an 80s tribute month, but it won't be anytime soon. That'll probably be a next year project. I'm working on my classic movies like Breakfast at Tiffany's. What else have I got there? North by Northwest, Rear Window, Guess Who Came to Dinner, or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, To Sir with Love. What was some of the other ones? Mine's gone total blank on me. Oh, How to Marry a Millionaire. So all those movies from like the 40s, 50s, 60s. State Fair. For some reason, State Fair has been bugging me the last few days. And I know I have it on DVD, but I can't find my DVD player. Actually, no, I do have DVD players. I can't find my Blu-ray player. So I might hook up the DVD player to watch some of those, because I do have some. Oh, Karate Kid came out in the 80s as well. But that wasn't on the top 100 list, surprisingly enough. That was a really good movie, that. But yeah, for some reason, State Fair has been going through my head the last few days. Our state fair is a great state fair. And scenes of it have been popping in my head, so I must have been meaning to watch it. So might have to do a musical. Oh, that'll be one. Do a musical month and do some of the Roger and Hammerstein movies, and Jeepers. I've got a total mind blank. Sound of Music. All I could see was Julie Andrews up in the mountains twirling around and go, what the hell is that movie called? So doing things like State Fair, Carousel. What was the boat one? There was one they did on a boat. Yeah, State Fair. Oh my gosh, I got a whole bunch of musicals there that are on. Hello, Dolly. That's one of my favorites. Oh my gosh, that is such a cool movie, that one. Interesting fact about Hello, Dolly. It has a guy in there called Michael Crawford. And if you don't know who Michael Crawford is, he was the original Phantom for Phantom of the Opera, whenever that first started. And I saw him in Hello, Dolly well before Phantom came out. And he wasn't too bad on the singing voice there. And then, of course, he was announced as the Phantom for Phantom of the Opera. And I was like, wait, what? He's got that good of, I knew he had a good voice. But I had known him in a TV series called Some Mothers Do Have Him, that came out in the late 70s, early 80s. And it's a British comedy show. And Michael Crawford was in that, and he played Frank. Well, Frank had a few little issues. He always tried to do good. He was always trying hard to please people, but it never went the way that he wanted it to go. And he did his own stunts in that movie as well. In the TV series, he did his own stunts. And he was basically, I don't know, they kept calling him an idiot in this thing, but he was just a guy who was just a little short and a few brain cells, but always tried to do his best. And and you always knew when stunts were coming up, because he'd have his black gloves on. He always did his own stunts in that thing. And so, of course, I knew him in that. And then I saw him in Hello, Dolly. I'd seen him in that first. And then I saw him in Hello, Dolly. And I thought, well, he can actually sing. And then years later, it was announced that he was the Phantom for Phantom of the Opera. And I was sort of like, wow. And so if you get the original soundtrack of Phantom of the Opera, that is Michael Crawford singing on there with Sarah Brightman, who at the time, I think at the time she was married to Andrew Lloyd Webber. But yeah, so the original soundtrack of Phantom of the Opera that was done back many, many years ago has Michael Crawford and Sarah Brightman on there, who were the two leads in Phantom of the Opera when it first came out on stage. So, yeah. So he's in Hello Dolly, and I can see some of the awkwardness that his character Frank had in some others do have appearing in his character Cornelius. But he's just such a talented actor. So that was from Hello Dolly. So that one's going to be going in my, I'm going to do a month of like a month. Yeah, I'm going to do a month, I think. 80s movies. What are some of your favorite movies from the 80s, or some of your favorite music from the 80s? Let us know in the comments below, because you might have a movie suggestion that was like, oh yeah, that was a good movie. So put in there some of your movies and things. And there's sort of another one. Yeah, Goonies wasn't in the top 100. Got to go back and watch that one again too. That was a cool movie. So Goonies, The Karate Kid, The Breakfast Club. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's just some really great movies that came out in the 80s. And there's some great music that came out of that time too. In fact, when I was in the Jigsaw Puzzle, when I first started doing the Jigsaw Puzzle this morning, I had, it was classic driving tunes was the playlist on Spotify. And I thought, oh, listen to this one. And it had a lot of music from the 80s on there. And it was really cool listening to that. And so I was sort of getting in the groove with that, doing the Jigsaw Puzzle. Then after I had lunch, I switched to listening to an audiobook, and it was a business audiobook. For some reason, when I'm doing jigsaw puzzles, it helps. It just helps. I come up with all sorts of ideas and things. And I can have an audiobook playing. I can have music playing, and the brain's in a completely different department. Doing a jigsaw puzzle. That's how I came up. The last time I did a 1,500-piece jigsaw puzzle was back. It was back before Brad passed. I think it was like 2014, and I came up with this whole fictional book series. And by the time I finished the puzzle, I had the gist of what this whole book series was going to be about. I had plans in my head for apartments and houses and buildings and office space, and all of that sort of stuff was already in my head. I knew who the main characters were going to be. And not long after that, I actually sat down and wrote out their family tree. Being the genealogist, got to know where everybody is and how they fit into the family. And so I wrote out the family tree and stuff like that, because there's going to be a bit of a genealogy mystery in there somewhere as well. That's one of the spin-off series. So I have this main series, and I've got a couple of different spin-off series from the main series. So all of that came out of a jigsaw puzzle. So I figured, okay, I've been asking myself this one question for the last couple of weeks and not really getting any clarity on it. And I've been journaling about it and that sort of stuff as well, and not getting any clarity on it. And so I asked myself the question this morning again, and then started doing the jigsaw puzzle, which is what inspired me to then put this book on after lunch, and been working on the jigsaw puzzle while the book was playing, and something started to becoming a little clearer of what I got to do. It's just how I have to do it. So yeah. But jigsaw puzzles are great for solving other problems too. So I'm sitting at my table in the living room there behind the curtain, and I've got a jigsaw puzzle out. I haven't done a jigsaw puzzle, I don't know. Apart from doing them on the iPad, I have not done a physical jigsaw puzzle in a very long time. So I'm working on a 1,000-piece one at the moment, and it's all these old vintage Kellogg's ads for like cornflakes and All Bran, and what else was on there? Rice Krispies was the other one as well. So that's what's on my and it's got a box lid, but you open it up and it's got a piece that you can actually unfold and see it a little better. So you can see the little images, because it's a whole bunch of little images put together to make this one puzzle. Like they've got different Kellogg commercial things from different magazines, I guess, that are all on this thing. So anyway, I think I'm going to end up doing an 80s month, because there's a lot of really good movies in there, and there's no way I can watch them in a weekend. That's just too much, as much as I love my movies. So, but yeah, that will be on the next year's list, because I'm not doing anything in October when it comes to movies. November is James Bond month. I don't know why I started doing that one in November. Don't know why. But yeah, so November's James Bond month. And then you got Christmas, and then you got December, January. So yeah, sometime next year we're going to do an 80s tribute month of movies. We're also going to do a musical month, doing musical movies. And then we will do a classic movies month as well. Movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Maybe the 70s as well. But anyway, that's it from us for tonight. Just let us know in the comments below, what are your favorite movies from the 80s? What is your favorite music from the 80s? If you weren't around in the 80s, have you ever seen any movies from the 80s? What movies have you seen? What did you think of them? And of course, this is all pre-cell phone days, and we had dial-up phones and push-button phones, and yeah, it'll give some of the millennials some things to think about. Anyway, that's it. I'm out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here at 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow night. Hey, konera.